Welcome to another episode of Everybody's Got Something. I'm your host, Seth Hoffman. Today on the show we have Randy Clark, musician, owner of Big Cat Trax Studio and Barking Dog Records, and Bonzai Caruso, recording and mixing engineer and producer. Let's get into it and have a good time. Hello,
Hey.
Bonzai.
Hi, Seth.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Randy,
Seth, how you doing,
pleasure.
buddy? Good to see you.
Thank you for being here. We are going to be talking music, the life of musicians and recording. But why don't you start off, Bonzai, tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself. And Randy, let's hear who you are. And then
Go ahead, Bonz.
Yeah, I've been a freelance recording engineer since I was 18 years of age in New York City. I'm from New York City, and just been blessed to live this life of studio life and
Yes.
recording and mixing and songwriting and arranging and just putting these great sounding records together, and that's what it's always been about. So.
Living the dream.
Yes,
Living
indeed.
the dream.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Incredible. And Randy?
I think I'm what I call a lifetime amateur engineer.
Okay.
Because I never have done it full time and really gotten the skill levels at Bonzai. I've been learning so much from him. It's such a pleasure to have met and be working together. And, out there, weekend warrior out there on the weekends, hitting the clubs. You don't have to pay $5,000 to come see our show.
Yes.
And so just a love of music has kept me going all my life, and it's going to take me all the way, I hope.
Yes. And so tell us about like how your story of music, because it's kind of evolved almost to where it is now as far as what you get to be doing. So the evolution and the development of your studio and your journey to being where you're at.
Yeah, sure. Well, it started out as kids, loving music and picking up the guitar. And, I had a musical background, kind of. My mother was a classical musician. And she was fabulous. She played in the symphony. She was flute and piccolo till she was like 80 years old, 85 years old or something like that, and kept the music going. So, I kind of started out with that in high school and stuff with, French horn and things like that.
Were you ever pushed to go into the piccolo, or that was?
No. Well, she tried to teach me piano. She's a great pianist also.
Okay.
She tried to teach me that, and we fought too much, so
Yeah.
she gave up real quick.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just kind of have that background, and then, I'm a 60s guy, man, and so all the stuff going on when I graduated from high school in 1967, it's like, wow,
time for
you
music.
wanted to, I didn't want to be a band teacher anymore. I wanted to go be in a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And so you take it from there, and you get addicted to it, and you just continue to improve.
And you just never stopped.
Just never stop, continue to improve, and just keep your trip going. You never know where you might get to.
And I respect and appreciate, because I know you were in the workforce, really going hardcore, doing. Tell us about what your kind of day job was.
Oh, I did. I had kids and had responsibilities, and the weekend musicians don't make a lot of money, so you're gonna have to substitute somehow and fill those voids. So yeah, I had a corporate job and did that the whole time.
But you never stopped music.
But I
a lot
never
of people
stopped
would say,
music.
"Oh, I'll come back to this in a few years."
Yes, no, I never stopped. There was times when we play at the Holiday Inn till 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd go to work at 7.
Yes.
So it's just it's a real love. It's a real love, and it's.
And we were saying how sometimes if you don't get much sleep, you can go strong if it was for good reason. If you were up watching TV or something, but if you were doing something you love, somehow the energy to get through that.
Absolutely,
that next day.
that's exactly right.
It translates, right?
Yeah.
Keeps going. The energy keeps going.
So it's just developed, and I've had small studios. I've built 2 or 3 smaller studios, and progressed just like Bonzai from tape machines to the digital into all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So, and then got to a point where I was blessed enough that I could put a pretty good studio together.
Yeah.
And what does a musician do but spend all his money on musical equipment?
That's it.
So that's kind of what we did.
If he's lucky, if he or she is lucky. So
Yeah.
we'll get to see some clips of both of your studio and the studio in Vegas. And Bonzai, so you said since 10 years old you've been into music.
Yes.
Did you ever, when you were a kid, have an idea of the types of people you'd be working with and the things you'd be doing? Was that even a fantasy, or did you even know to fantasize about things like that?
The latter. I did not know to even fantasize about it. I would never in a million years think that I'd be, working with these celebrities and, big artists and make a everyday career out of it,
So tell us a little bit of like that path from, okay, I like music, I'm into music and this, and then here you are doing what you're doing with these people. What was a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, I was fascinated as a teenager about the sound of records, the sound of vinyl, of songs, and how different artists from, whether it was Pink Floyd or the Grateful Dead or all Neil Young I was listening to in those days, and just picking up on how the energy of the song made me feel, whether it was happy or sad, and the power of it. Yes. And then getting really into the quality of what they sounded like.
Can you think of a particular album or song or a moment that you had that feeling that you're like, wow, my whole mental state, my soul is being shifted?
Yeah, there was quite a few, Dark Side of the Moon, and even from like the Neil Young, Heart of Gold record, the way that sounds, the different panning and tones of instruments and where they sat in the song and the roles that they played,
Yeah. And sometimes how things so simple, you're like, it's just like a guitar and one kick drum. How is this creating such a feeling?
Exactly. The power of it.
Yes.
Yeah. The simplicities and the complexities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about music. You have to know how to combine those two things.
Right.
Like we just said, less is more.
Let's hear
less is more. Less is more.
Less, or how did you put it? You had something like a quote or something? Right?
Oh, the less I play, the better I sound.
The less I play, the better I sound. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so so tell us about, like, as far as like some of your first projects, that led to where you are now. Did you have a 4-track, or how did you first get into the actual production and mixing of music?
Yeah, right after I graduated high school, I went to New York City to the Institute of Audio Research there in Greenwich Village.
And were you living in New York already, or where were you from?
The YMCA. I had a room at the YMCA for $50 a week.
Okay.
That's all and so I started studying there at the Institute, and they placed me in an internship at a recording studio there called Secret Sound Studios. It was prior to that, it was owned by Todd Rundgren. It was Todd Rundgren's studio before that. So I interned there for a brief time, maybe a few months, and then.
And how old were you at this point?
I was 18.
18 years old.
1982.
Wow.
1982, I was 18, yeah. And I just became a sponge and soaked up. I wanted to know how everything worked, equalizers, compressors, reverbs. It was analog, obviously, in those days, so the tape machines, how it all operated, the signal flow, the path from, the source of the sound, the microphones, through whatever equipment you're going to use to make it, and how they all react differently,
Yeah.
I just threw myself into it, like 80 hours a week. I was in that studio.
And what did your family and friends at the time, were they supportive of this, or like, what's this guy up to? Or they knew it was your passion, they were happy for you?
Yeah, my mother did especially, So, and they were an hour away in New Jersey, so
that's perfect.
I'd go visit them once in a while, but they were excited about the path I was taking. And I was, always reporting back, like, you're not going to believe what happened to me,
Wow.
which was great.
Wow, what a life, 18.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, when you were 18, were you at a similar place, or were you already starting to mix music, record music?
No, not quite that. I was playing music, and I went to attended university. Got a degree in Bachelor of Arts degrees from Indiana University, but in the journey really accelerated when I got to college, and we had our first college band, and now all of a sudden we're in a whole different thing. And like I say, we're in the late 60s, and so much good music and musicians popping up everywhere. So it was just a real special time, and it just propelled you forward. Yeah. If you get a little better and you get a little better, and you think, I think I'm getting better here. I'm not going to quit yet. You know,
I mean,
so-
and then when you listen back to, nowadays, of course, you can just record your show with a phone or something. Back then, like when you were playing, did you, you hear what you're doing as you're doing it, but did you have a way of just any sort of home recording back in the day? To
Sure,
hear what
sure.
you were doing?
We'd record on cassettes,
Yeah.
cassette players. We record our
Sure.
rehearsals on cassette
And then you
players.
hear back, like, "It's not so
stuff,
bad.
yeah,
That's not
stuff
so
like
bad."
that. So yeah, and that's what got me kind of always kind of wanting to try to do that a little bit. I was fascinated with the mixing and the panning, like Bonzai said, and just how do you get it to sound like that? And so,
And multi-tracking, right?
I started off on a 4-track Tascam.
Yeah,
tape deck.
same. That blew
Yeah.
my mind when I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, I've listened to some of the stuff recently. It doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah.
A little too much reverb, but
Yeah.
we were very reverby back then.
And it's interesting, so you're, like a 4-track and the things you could do with that, and
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it's almost a blessing to have less to work with.
Yes.
And just taking a peek at we're going to see the boards you're working with, and it's, basically unlimited,
Yes,
and which can be a blessing and a curse, I'm
Absolutely.
sure.
Like the Beatles, I mean, they were limited,
Crazy what they did with that.
With their,
Yeah.
George Martin was able to,
They did some amazing things.
Incredible.
utilize it. If
It
there's a
blows my
space,
mind.
if there's an area in this song that doesn't have anything on track 3, well, we could put a tambourine in there.
Yeah. And then we can put it over here, and then we'll
Right.
put something
And
else
then-
on track
and
3.
then- Exactly. Just keep figuring out how you can make it all work with what you have,
Yeah.
So you were in New York, you were in Indiana doing
Yeah.
these things. So how did your paths cross?
Through Keith.
Through Keith, yeah.
Through Keith, legendary
Legendary
Keith
Keith.
Kavula of
Yes,
the
The
Withdrawals.
Withdrawals.
Oh, and as we're talking, let's take a look at this incredible place. You can tell us what we're seeing.
Okay, yeah. Well, Seth surprised me here a couple of weeks ago. Well, I knew he was coming, but he came in and wanted to check out Big Cat Trax. So he just walked in, and this is the control room. Just seeing the kind of the back of the control room right now. There's Shane.
Yeah,
That's my
good boy.
partner in crime down there.
I think you'd like to move in there.
He's a good guy. That's the board. Of course, it's Pro Tools is what we use. It's pretty much the professional program. There are lots of different digital programs, but Pro Tools is kind of the standard. So we operate on Pro Tools, have an Avid board that integrates with Pro Tools. This is the playing room. As you can see, drums in the back. There's a booth, a bunch of my old guitars hanging up there, and basses and all kinds of stuff, mandolins and all the things we've had, played through the years. It's a very comfortable space. I feel very good. I like the construction. I kind of like the acoustics. I think it's got very good acoustics. It's a little on the dead side, but not completely. We've got a lot of hard surfaces along with soft surfaces. Got to keep the angles all a little jig-jagged around so you don't have, reflective waves and all that kind of stuff. And so you're just seeing, some of the pictures on the wall.
And this is where vocals are done, or what all happens in this?
It depends. I like recording in the big room. That's why the drums are out in that room instead of being in a booth.
Sure.
So the booth is if you got to do something and you don't want it to get on anything else on your track, you put somebody in the booth. So isolated and stuff. But then I'll go back and I'll put them in the big room on a nicer microphone, and that's where they'll actually do their final vocals. And yeah, that's the setup.
And so those drums are there just so when people come in, some people say, oh, I want to bring my own drums, or this is usually.
Sometimes, and I think, I guess it would depend on the drummer and the caliber of the drummer. If somebody really insisted and they were a world famous drummer, we would certainly accommodate whatever they wanted to do.
I'm sure they'd be
Otherwise,
quite
we
happy to
encourage
not
them.
have
We
to
encourage them to use this set.
Yeah.
Bring another snare drum if you want. Hey, bring your own cymbals.
Right. Yeah.
Things like that
Sure,
that you can easily kind of interchange, but it doesn't
I was blown
take
away
you.
with your mic collection.
Yeah, I did splurge on microphones. I really did buy some really good microphones. I mean, the process really is, one thing Bonzai I agree about, number one, you have to have a good song, okay?
Yeah.
Then after that, you've got to have a competent artist that can sing on pitch, and can play, has good instruments. And then after that, it's the microphone.
Yeah.
or whatever
That's
it's
like
going to
the
go
first
through.
window
That's
to-
the first thing, and so I think those are really, really important to be able to get a high quality recording, just to have some really good, you can get good recordings with all kinds of microphones, but there's an edge, there's a cliff, there's a mountain you climb.
And when
with
you
some
hear
of those.
someone, for both of you, like when you hear someone sing just from a certain voice, do you have an idea, your voice would be more suited with one type of microphone, or is it more the type of music? How do you choose what's the microphone to use?
Whether it's a singer or a guitar or piano, the choice of microphone, because they have characteristics like the Neumanns and the old mic, especially the old vintage mics, which I love. Yeah. They have a characteristic to them that really, if you have a thin sound, there are microphones that are nice and warm and rich, and then vice versa too. If there's something is really dull sounding, there's microphones that accentuate the high frequencies and make it nice and clean and clear.
And so when they come in, what's the process? Say someone's going to come in to record a song or an album. Do they first kind of play through just acoustically, or just something to get an idea of what the songs are? What do you kind of direct someone who say I'm here to record a song? What's the process of it?
Everyone is different. Whether it's starting from an acoustic guitar, starting at the piano, starting with the beat, with the groove. Every song takes on its own thing, from once we start.
Yeah.
And so it's not. There's no formula. There's no predetermined, and it's just how are we going to approach this? Well, it starts like this, and then you'd start building on it. Find the right tempo, the right key, the right perfect range for the vocalist. Obviously, what the song is about.
Yeah.
The song arrangement, the song structure, intro, verse, chorus, right?
Yeah.
And then as it develops, you start adding on percussion, horns, whatever, lead guitar stuff, and you just start building it.
So you could get the foundation, and then you bring in the coloring.
It's good. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I approach songs like that. It's like you start with the foundation, so you have a nice solid rhythm section, or gets the point across, and then you put the walls up and you put the roof on.
And it must make it a lot easier to add the other stuff when you've got that.
And that gets back to what we were talking about earlier with, you have to know when to stop. It's like, we don't need any more.
You could go
less is more sometimes. Less is more. So.
Have you ever done that, like gone all the way and then at some point think like, I don't know, I think it was better maybe
all the time.
20 tracks previous or
just
something.
just about every time.
Is that right?
Yeah. We didn't need that, or we didn't need. But you think about you put it on. You're recording. Put everything on. Throw it all on there.
Yeah.
And then
it's nice to at least have the options. Better to have
sort
tried it.
Sort it out.
Exactly.
There's probably just some things sound crazy, like, well, let's just try it, and that might be the most brilliant part of the song.
Or turn it into something it was not originally intended to be, with an effect and delay, and just morph it out.
Yeah.
It's like that wasn't the original intention, but that works really well like that.
And just to be able to have that openness to be like, hey, let's see what happens.
Exactly.
And so what was the first project you two worked on together?
We worked, there was a local group here, Elevated Roots, and I'd been working with them a little bit in the studio, and I thought they had a couple of pretty clever songs. And of course, Keith had been telling us about Bonzai for quite a while, and I said, hey, Keith, do you think Bonzai would be interested in, maybe working with me on a couple of these songs? And I played them for Keith, and he says, yeah, I think he might be. And so sent him over there, and he and I got on the phone, and
he sent me like 11 tracks or something. I picked two that I think these two have potential.
Yeah.
So
and
let's
they were the
focus
same two
on.
I picked.
Is that right?
That's right.
It was the same two
How
I
about
picked.
that? That says something.
Yeah. And so we worked on those, produced those for those guys, and that's how we got started.
Yeah.
And we just kind of evolved. We're just doing a little stuff with the Odd Dog right now, and we're looking for more artists. We've put this Barking Dog Records recording company together, and we're going to see who's out there.
I heard there's this Hoffman guy. I'm not sure his first name. Seth Hoffman. I don't know about you.
I've heard
he's
things
kinda
about
loopy.
him.
He's, I don't know. You got to be careful. I can't vouch for him for that.
I got to say this. That was a great set.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
when we were there
Over
on
at
Saturday.
Alvarado, yeah.
That was very nice.
Oh, I was honored. I was
You
honored
did. I love the way you
yeah.
put your looping together.
Thank
The
you.
crowd
Thank you.
loved you.
Appreciate
It was beautiful. It was really,
Appreciate it.
it was
Thank you.
very nice.
Well,
So
I'm well honored and hope
Yeah.
to do more music with you.
I'm going to get you on my show next time.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Here's what I'm interested. You both picked the same 2 songs out of these 11.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious for each of what was it that stood out? You know, obviously there's so many different aspects to a song, but for something 2 out of 11, you both picked them. What was it about those songs?
Well, first and foremost, it's the hook, the catchiness of the hook.
Okay.
It just caught your attention, and you know, it's repeating itself in your mind, and you know, it's like, okay, that's really catchy. We can develop that. You know,
Yeah.
right.
Right,
Wouldn't you
exactly.
agree?
Yeah, and then of course the 2 that was Bringing the Love and
Bringing
then
the Love
Bankrupt.
and
And
Bankrupt.
Bankrupt was a clever,
Yeah.
given the current,
Bankrupt.
It's a novelty, yeah.
the current status of society changing and evolving, and all of a sudden, you
Yeah.
know, marijuana being legal and
Yeah,
more people, you know, getting involved in that part of life, and so we thought that was a clever song that
Yeah.
people might
Yeah.
might think was.
So you're hearing it through your own ears of what sounds, but also think like, oh, I think other people would really
Absolutely.
jive.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and at that point, we're like, okay, you know, things like, you know, the tempo could be faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is this the right key? You know, for the vocal
Vocals,
range,
yeah.
and just you know, for overall the way it sounds.
Yeah.
And then just start developing it from there.
Okay.
And a lot of it's, you know, trial and experimentation.
Right.
You know.
Okay. So tell us
There we
what's
go.
that. What are we looking
Here
at?
we go.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
one of the songs with Elevator Roots. Actually, this is a remix, a ska remix.
Okay. And is this?
This is at the Hideout in Las Vegas, and I am demoing some products from a company called SPL out of Germany.
Okay.
They make some really great high-end stuff. So they had sent a rep over here, and we sat in the studio for a day, and they gave me some of their equipment to mess around with, compressors and EQs and things of that nature. And yeah, they have some great products, and that was a good day.
And right away, using them, was it something right away that it's like, wow, this is unlike anything I've used?
Like we were talking about earlier, how different components like microphones have different characteristics. So the outboard gear is the same way with compressors and equalizers and reverb units and delay units. They do have their own, you know, thing.
Yeah.
You know, the characteristic of the way they
Personality.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are real clean, very good products, high-end stuff. Very versatile. You
Yeah.
use it on stuff you can use on drums, vocals, guitars.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little more about that studio you're working at there?
Yeah, that's the Hideout in Las
Hideout in
Vegas,
Las Vegas.
which is like anyone's producer's dream studio. There's a 96 input SSL, the A room, the B room has an 86 channel, and there's still 2-inch tape there. So that in the corner.
Is that right? Still
There's
tape?
We still have a tape machine there. Yeah.
Wow.
I love using 24-track 2-inch tape whenever possible. You know.
See, I mean, for the average person looking at all of those options, you're like, whoa, it's just, I mean, each one of those tracks could mean anything, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing the way it's such a beautiful studio. It really is such a beautiful. It's a
really
dream for any musician, artist, producer. I mean, it's private, it's quiet.
And who are some folks that come to mind that have passed through and done some work?
I've done a bunch of work there with Dr. Dre. Santana works there a lot. Celine Dion, Lady Gaga passed through for a few days one time when she was doing, you know, because at Las Vegas you've got your residency,
Sure.
you have your, you know, passers-by, so to speak. So
Yeah.
if they have a few days in between, they could stop and do some recording. Here we are recording horns for the No More Kings track we were talking about earlier. But yeah, it's the vibe is nice. The equipment is everything from the best vintage stuff to the most modern, you know, top-notch quality components for everything. Yeah.
And those names you mentioned, did you work with them, or they happened to be there? Or you did.
Dr. Dre, I worked with there for a while. He would come in for a couple of weeks at a time. But I didn't work with Santana, but he's been working there a bunch on and off.
And I mean, at this point, like when you come across people like that, does it I mean, are you starstruck or are they starstruck? I mean, you've done it. What's that like to you to see these? And
Yeah, I mean, I used to, years ago, I used to, because
oh my God.
I was like, I'm working with Madonna today. Oh my God, there she is. Hi. You
Did you really work with Madonna?
Yeah, I worked with Madonna
worked
a
with
bunch of
Madonna.
times. Yeah, she's amazing. She's wonderful.
Wow.
But yeah, so yeah, in the early days.
I mean, I guess after you work with Madonna, that's probably like you relaxed after everyone else. I mean, it's like I worked with Madonna.
No, you still get those butterflies,
Yeah,
and it's a good thing because it keeps you,
Humble.
and this is you want to do your best.
Yeah,
You really want to bring out the best you can in the songs.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be something to people who you know of them and admire, and then to see like what you can do for them and what you can raise their sound to the next level.
Now, one thing, Bonzai's not telling you the whole story. Now, Bonzai built this studio.
Built this
He
studio.
was hired to go to Las Vegas and build this studio, ground up, the empty building, given a very generous budget. He put this whole thing together. He's the reason it is a beautiful, incredibly well done studio.
I can't take full credit because there were about 4 or 5 of us. We had a small team, but I came from New York to join. But Randy's right. It was just a dirt floor and 4 walls and a big warehouse.
I mean, that says a lot for someone who has the means to do it. Say like, all right, this is the guy who's going to make it great, or this team, to be part of that team, and to think, wow, I've done some things to culminate to be in that
because I'd
position.
never done anything on such a scale. I mean, I've had home studios and I've built little home studios, some small studios in New York, but I've never done anything on this scale. And I wasn't. My plan wasn't to stay in Las Vegas. This was in 2008 we started.
Okay.
And the studio opened 2009, 2010. It took about 1.5 years to build.
Yeah.
And my plan wasn't to stay in Vegas. I was going to go back to New York.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just going here to help with this project, then I'll go back.
Yeah, exactly. But the studio turned out so beautiful, and I got to know Vegas is a great hub for really talented musicians. There's a lot of great players in Vegas. And I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with Vegas. I don't miss the snow.
You have been,
And just,
So Vegas has been home basically since 2008?
Since 2008, yes.
2008.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoy it there.
And then, and you're there several days a week, or do you have like a schedule? It's just when projects come up? How does that work?
Every week's different. Every project is different. Sometimes I try, I'll work in Australia or LA or New York or Miami. I work in Miami a bunch.
Go down to the Marley studio.
Yeah, I work with the Marley Brothers a lot in Jamaica and Miami.
You ever be like, sorry, I can't make it to the party. I'm gonna be in Jamaica with the Marley Brothers. I mean, that's your life. That's what a trip.
Right. And then oftentimes it'll turn in. We need you for a week, and then 4 weeks later you're still there. You're still working. So I only brought enough clothes for 1 week. You just keep re-wearing the same clothes.
Yeah. Wow. So tell me about the No Kings project. This song, this song you collaborated.
Well, Dave Schumann, which you've had Dave in here before, is a
Incredible
great
talent.
songwriter, lyrics, great guitar player, great musician. I said, it's been like 3 or 4 years since we've done our last record. I said, it's time for us to do another record, Dave. Let's get some material together and all this stuff. And he said, well, I got one more song I want to just put down scratch. That I think I want to include in this. And that was the start of the No More Kings song. And as soon as he played that for me, I said, oh my God. And he kind of put it together in a very specific way. And I said, let's emphasize No More Kings. And he said, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And he took it home and he came back in 24 hours. And
so you kind of like rewrote or rearranged the
He
song?
rearranged it, and it worked out perfectly. It was just kind of what, and then, I had Bonzai coming over, and I sent him like just a demo of the song or something.
Rough
he
idea,
got kind of excited about it, and so we recorded that in the middle of December, and
that was done both in Vegas and in here?
He came over, and we've done this a lot where we put out a lot tracks with the players that are in Albuquerque, and we do those right here. But then what I've learned too, as Bonzai just said, is there's an incredible amount of fabulously talented musicians in Las Vegas. It's more work for a musician in that town than any place else in the world, probably.
Entertainment capital of the world, right?
You know, and so I realized very quickly, you know, being able to capitalize on that kind of talent is really, such a gift to have that at your fingertips because it makes your life so much easier. So we said, hey, for the horn players and for this, we're going to go back over here, you know. And like on some of Keith's stuff, for example, okay, he brings Mark Clark over there. And so you can go back and forth and do stuff, but it's a real, it's just a nice way to work. So the King song, that's the way it developed. And then Bonzai mixed it, and mix engineer is, you know, extraordinaire, you know, and he really knows how to bring the life or put the life into a song.
Yes.
And he just did a fantastic job, and everything just kind of funny. Everything just kind of fell into place in the song really fast.
And originally it was like 6.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And now it's 3 minutes.
And how?
So
what was the process? How did it?
You kind of just tighten it up. You tighten it up.
We don't need this. We don't need this.
Right. These sections are
like
too
that
long.
less is more kind of thing. You know?
The song structure.
Yeah.
So just to keep the listener engaged.
Yes.
You know, and especially in today's world with playlists and things of that nature, everything's getting shorter and shorter, especially intros.
And I guess you want the listener ideally to be like, oh, it's over already, instead of being like, wow, this is a long song.
Play it again. Exactly.
You know, and it was a very current topic, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, our perspective is, you know, we don't want any more Kings around either. So we enjoyed being able to put that out, and it's just been released. The only place it's out right now is on Barking Dog Records itself.
Okay. So maybe, and we're going to get a chance to...
I think you're going to see some of that. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
I've got a chance to hear it, but let's give other folks a chance to hear it, and hopefully many, many more folks will hear it.
Hopefully so.
And then we can talk about it.
Okay.
All right.
Turn it up.
They're going to load it up.
When the king is gone, we'll sell the jewels and build some schools. We'll dance and sing the whole day long when the king is gone. When there's no more war, we'll sell the fleet, give the poor some more to eat. We'll sell the jets and house the vets when there's no more war. When the ice is gone, there's no more shore, no New Orleans and no Baltimore. We'll find a hill to stand upon when the ice is gone. Round and round the big wheel turns, down and down the candle burns. Soon the morning sun returns and fortune smiles. When the king is gone, we'll make amends. We'll make this country great again. We'll find something good to focus on when the king is gone. When the king is gone, we'll pawn the throne, buy the royal dog a bone, have picnics on the palace lawn when the king is gone. When it falls apart, we'll pull up stakes. We won't make the same mistakes. We'll lose the hate, but keep the heart when it falls apart. When the king is gone, we'll take the crown. We'll take the crown and melt it down. There'll be no big head to put it on when the king is gone. Every dog will have his day. Every kingdom in decay turns to dust and blows away. Time reconciles. When there's no more kings, we'll proudly stand. We won't kneel for any man. Never have to kiss no royal ring when there's no more kings. No more kings. No more kings. When the king is gone. When the king is gone. When the king is gone. When the king
love that logo.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yes.
That's right.
Barking
And then,
dog.
and anything with a video is always going to have that dog barking.
I like that's like
At
the
end of
tag.
it.
All
That's
of
like
our-
the tagline.
Yeah,
That's our
that's going to be the
tag, yeah.
tagline.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
So, from the first time you heard that song, so when you first heard when Dave played it,
Yeah.
you just heard like an acoustic. Like, what was the first rendition?
Oh yeah, he was just
Or
playing
life of that
acoustic,
song.
and you know he'd written like different choruses, he had all the same verses basically, and then I would just felt strongly that No More Kings chorus was very strong and very
Yeah.
relatable.
Yes.
And I said, hey, we ought to hit on that more if you can.
Yeah, yeah.
And he immediately just he's a smart guy.
He's an artist, but
immediately-
he can craft it too.
Yeah,
He knows,
yeah, it
you know.
made sense to him too, and so it's just.
And with the
Turned
horns,
out
like
great.
it's now, I can't even imagine that song without horns.
Yes.
But obviously, when the first time you heard it, how did that come into the picture?
I don't know. I've heard him, and he heard him.
I just was hearing the parts in my head. So when Eddie Rich is a saxophone player, when he came into the studio, I would sing some of and then he would take it from there and build on it.
So just the idea of like I'm hearing some
Yeah,
horns
here's
here.
like the basic, pumps, but then a solo section. When it comes to that kind of things, like let him do the solo. I'm not going to tell him how to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just to influence,
just kind of
and
plant
let
the
them
seed of what could grow.
and
there.
let them write the rest of the chart. Yeah.
Wow, incredible. And so, what was the timeline from when you first heard the idea of the song to this finished product?
I think we got that done probably in 60 days, somewhere like
60 to
that.
90 days,
60 to
yeah.
90 days. And we had the holidays in there, 'cause
Yeah,
we did it
true.
just before Christmas, and so
True.
we had, like for a month, we never did anything else out on it, and then we picked up and got it done pretty quick. Dave and I got over to Vegas and did some stuff in the studio, got the horn parts. Dave redid some of the vocals over there. And then Bonzai started mixing it, and we just kept working on the mix until.
And the production too, because I have a studio, a private studio of my own
yeah.
that I do all my productions out of.
Right,
And so I would keep sending him, version 12,
Yeah.
13,
Yeah.
14, 15,
Yeah.
with a little
Sure.
edit here and a little change there and a little
Probably a lot of late night calls like, I heard this. Here's what I think of this. And
Yep.
changing some
Yeah.
notes on the bass here and there, or maybe a
Right.
guitar edit.
Tightening up some drum tracks.
Some drum, some ear candy effects and stuff.
That's I think one of the best gifts of life is just to have something you're working on that you're excited about.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever that may be. We're talking about music, other people, whatever type of art or anything. But when you're working on something that you really care about, you're really excited about, and you get to kind of see it come into this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's,
that's kind of what the recording process is all about. It really is. It's like creating a little something that wasn't there before.
Right. And a lot of it, for me, it's like not overthinking it.
Right,
Like, spending,
right.
just,
That's gotta be the hardest thing, 'cause,
sweating
yeah.
over everything. And it's just like, you're good. It's good.
when do you step away? When does that take good enough?
I liken it to painting. As an
Yeah.
artist, if you're painting,
Yeah.
that one extra stroke didn't need, or one extra color, one extra, it didn't need to be there. It was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to know when to say when, right?
Right. And then when it's like, all right, don't touch it. It's there.
good.
Now it's done.
It's really hard to quit.
Yeah.
It is.
It's really hard to quit on the
Yeah.
mix because
It
you're
is.
always, I can't explain it, you just get in this obsession about
Yeah.
the perfection of,
Sure. Especially when you invest that much time in your soul in it, you want it to really be.
always for me,
perfect.
it's finally you just quit, there's no horrible mistakes, and
Yeah.
2 years later, you'll be able to enjoy it.
Yeah. And so, what's the next step? So this masterpiece of a song has come into the world. What's the next step here? Is that now it's into someone else's hand to try to get out in the world, or do you play a part in that?
Yeah, we're
That's
playing a
not true.
part in that. I
Yeah.
mean, with every record is different, every
Yeah.
artist is different, every record is different. So with this particular one, it has its avenues of ways to promote it through the movement.
The No Kings movement.
And so this one is unique in
Yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah, because it's very timely too. So it's like, all right, it's,
Yeah.
it's like a.
Yeah, we've had a lot of contact. We make contact with different parts of that movement. It's a very interesting movement, the way it's put together, kind of state by state, even city by city.
Yeah.
And they have, and they're very
Right, there's not like one
cautious,
main
they're very
headquarters of
cautious.
it all. I mean,
Well,
I
there
don't know.
is. There is like the people who kind of thought it up to begin with.
Okay.
Yes,
and
there
there's
is.
kind of thought of as the leaders,
Gotcha.
but everybody kind of does their own thing.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to connect with the whole. The snake's not all attached exactly.
Right.
You know?
Because I would think
so we're
any one of
working
them
on
would think
that.
like, okay, this is our theme song. It's so,
well,
I mean, it's positive, it's powerful, it's clever.
Bonzai got great reactions from people, and I got really good reactions from some people back east. Got some friends in Indianapolis that were really involved in it, and,
Yeah.
and they loved it. And,
Yeah, and this particular record is different in the way that we're not really launching a new artist's career or anything like that. I mean, these guys have been around, they've been playing, and it's all about the particular message of the song.
Right.
Whereas if it was like, you know, we have the next, you know, young female artist or R&B singer or hip hop guy, whatever, you know, it's all about his image, the artist's image, and you know. Their digital footprint and social media in terms of them, you know, being, you know, so you're marketing that.
Yeah.
This one takes on a slightly different.
Yeah, and I imagine you must have seen from getting into the music from the 80s to now, just that whole process. It's like, I'm sure totally flipped as far as with social media and all
It
that,
has.
what radio was and what it is now, and,
Yes,
and having to adapt to that. And
Yeah, I mean, still, there's still the power of radio, and in today's world, of course, playlists and your Spotify and all your other streaming platforms. But yeah, the more exposure you can get, you know, it's like when you hear that song on the radio back in the day when I was a kid. I didn't really like that song, but you heard it so many times over the summer, or over a few months, and now it's stuck in your head and you love it.
I remember when I was first, you know, the Beatles are what got me into music, and I remember hearing, you know, I would listen to them album by album, sometimes like track 7 that most people don't hear that at first. You're like, I don't know. But because you listen to it all the way through, by, you know, the 7th, 8th time, it's like, this is my favorite song. And had it been nowadays where it's just completely, you never would have had that opportunity to get to know a song like that.
Yeah, songs and melodies grow on you that way, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes in a deeper way than when they're just in your face
Yeah,
right
because
away.
oftentimes I'll listen to a record and I'll be like, it kind of sounds like disjointed, or the flow it's kind of, it doesn't strike a chord with me, and like I'm attracted to it, and then after a few listens, you're like, oh, I get what they're doing. This is really cool.
Yeah, they're giving the listener a little more credit. They're giving us
it grows on you.
Yes. So what do you envision for Barking Dogs and Cat Trax? What's kind of your vision for the studio and for the?
Well, I
the
think
record?
you know, the studio. I'm going to use it. You know, we pick who we want to record. We pick who we want to work with. It's not a commercial studio that just going to run, you know, 12 hours a day doing whatever it can to sing the cash register. It's not that at all.
Yeah.
It's a creative workspace, and you know, we're going to try to find a lot of people that should be in there and would like to be in there, and maybe help develop other artists and things like that. As far as that goes, Barking Dog Records, and I'll say a little bit, and then Bon should expand on it. A lot of things are changing kind of in the distribution industry and stuff now, with issues with Spotify and issues with some of the other services. So Barking Dog Records is kind of like more for the, for example, okay, they get 50, whatever that sells for it, you can stream, you can download off it, okay? So it's just actually its own streaming download service also.
Okay.
You stream for free, and the artist gets 50% of whatever we end up selling that product for.
Okay.
And right now it says, pay what you want.
Wow.
You know, listen to this song. You love it? You know,
And so
help
this
the
is like on
artist.
like a website, or how do people
Yeah, it's
find it?
barkingdogrecords.com.
Okay, so you go there and then
You can go there. It's
streaming
very.
and-
There's very little on it right now. It's
Yeah.
got a few of the Elevator Roots songs on it.
Yeah.
We've got you know, the Barking Dog Record. I mean, No More Kings on there.
Yeah.
And we have more coming. I think we're trying to talk Keith into releasing a record and putting it on there
That'd
for
be
us,
awesome.
and trying to help us out there.
Yeah.
He's holding out right now, but we're gonna
Can't
keep
make it
working
too
on
easy.
him.
You gotta,
Yeah,
course.
yeah, he's
gotta
got to.
build it up.
I said, don't worry, nobody's going to hear it. You can't. You said, don't worry about it. Till we got to get traffic to our site.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
our goal.
We're
right
just
now.
getting started. When
Just
you see
started.
the site, you'll see it's
Yeah.
still under development, and it's growing, and we're.
Wow, what an exciting time.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, it
a
is.
birth of a whole we don't even know.
Well, it's
what
kind of
gonna
fun.
be.
Why not? Why
Yeah.
not? Why not
Yeah.
give it a try?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, your failure is not trying, not being successful.
That's right. It's like what's
Exactly.
Wayne Gretzky, you miss every shot, 100% of the shots you don't take, you miss, or something like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, if you're doing something and you're excited about it, that's the lottery. I mean, people can have $1 million, but if you are invested in something you're excited about and lights you up,
Yeah.
that's the lottery. You won the lottery.
Yeah.
It really
exactly.
is.
Incredible.
So we're blessed.
Okay.
Lucky.
And then anything more to add on your vision?
Oh yeah,
for,
yeah. About what's going on in the industry and how some of them are doing their own streaming and stuff now.
Yeah, there's. I'm trying to, keep my ear to the street in terms of, using different distribution, how to market and promote your products, your music, your image, everything, and it's starting to. There's so many different ways to go about it, but they're starting to come back to just like owning all your stuff, have it available exclusively through your site or your platform, where people can stream and download, pay whatever they want to pay. You want to pay $1, you want to pay $10, whatever you feel it's worth to you.
Yeah.
And so it's just trying to keep an eye on the trends of what's happening, and also protecting the artist and protecting the writers and the copyright and licensing, for instance, and not giving all that away just so you can get on a platform. There are plenty of records that need that and should be doing that, and that's necessary to get. But there's also, you have to decide what's best for you and your artist.
Yes, right. Because I mean, it's like there was a time where there were probably a fraction of the artists that got their music into the world, and now blessing it or a curse, you could say. Anybody in any corner of the world can have. Okay, this is available to anyone on the planet, which is cool. But then to sift through it all and to be on the producing end of it.
There's
What was that
100,000.
What that number for Spotify? How many?
There's
How
like
many records?
100,000 songs a day.
A day.
A day. I mean, compare
I
this
mean,
to
I-
what 1965. I mean, I
God.
mean, who had any recording? I mean, now
Yeah.
and so it's like, that is good. That's cool, but also it comes with its.
And just
challenges.
yesterday, I was reading a report that there's up to 40% of some of these of the platforms are AI generated.
Crazy.
That's a lot.
I mean, I think so. I mean, look at social media. Half the time you're watching
Yeah.
these things,
Yeah.
you're like, is that even real?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
and
Yeah. We live in interesting times.
it is interesting.
Yeah.
It is interesting at
Yeah.
times. So I always thought, when you're doing the recording process, it's almost like you have to be a bit of like a psychologist in a way, because you have to right away read what these artists are, because artists can be sensitive people, and of course your goal is to get the best out of them and to get them to feel comfortable. Can you speak on any experiences or just wisdom you've
Yeah,
gained
I've
about
been
that?
blessed to work with all these top producers in the 80s and 90s, and Arif Mardins of the world and other producers, and seeing how they can get an emotion out of a singer to really to deliver in character the lyrics of the song,
Yeah.
or even if it's a guitar player, that feel that fits, and it's just dictating that you're a director, really, right?
Yeah.
So, and working with them and getting a feel where where do they shine,
Yeah.
and how am I going to make them shine on this for this song, right?
And how can you think of back when you were early in the starting of that to where you are now, some of the ways you might approach it differently or have dealt with it differently?
Yeah, so learned this a lot over there's a time to wear kid gloves, and handle things gently. There's a time to be aggressive and say, no, we're doing it this way. This is how. And artists that get it, they'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, no, I need guidance.
And you've had to, after working with so many people, you can maybe have an instinct
can
for
read them,
which side of Bonds needs to come out better.
and just let them go. I'm not
Yeah.
just saying anything. Let them do their thing. They got this.
Yeah.
And then others, they need your, they welcome your direction.
Yeah.
And then there's things flow throughout the day, the night, the week, as you're working on the song. That relationship develops.
Yes.
And that trust develops,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And we're both here we want the same result.
Yeah,
We want the best.
We want to come
song.
away being super proud.
Right,
of
and
or something.
then those relationships get tight and they're
Yeah.
really bonding, and
Yeah.
it's special. It's very special.
Yeah. And can you speak on that as well, as far as having people in the studio and how you I don't know, treat them or communicate with them?
Well, I mean, very respectfully and very, insightfully, hopefully, at the same point.
Yeah.
But artists can be sensitive about, especially if you say, we don't need that line, like But really, maybe the
going to
song
my
really
car for a while.
more people,
Sure.
So you have to be real careful, and you kind of
Yeah.
have to read every artist. And
Yes,
some of
exactly,
them warm
yeah.
up, some of them go, I trust you, got no problem. Some go, I don't know, I really like that, this, that, or the other.
Yeah, and it's probably different if it's someone you're working with for the first time, or
Yeah.
if it's a project when you have that trust built up already, or if
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah.
just laying the groundwork for it.
Yeah. So every artist, it's just, we're all human beings, and we're all
Yeah.
radically different.
Yeah. But it's something to that. You're all in a room and you all do have the same end goal. You want to create something magic that's going to live on longer than probably anyone in the room, hopefully.
And there's some artists just say, once they put their stuff down, they say, just do it. I don't even want to come into the mix. I don't want to sit through all the work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work and a lot of time. Once after everything's recorded, you just got started.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Can you speak on, just for some people who are unfamiliar at all with the recording process, what goes into like the mixing? Because a lot of people have seen, okay, here's how you record this, but then as you said, that's a lot of times the easy part, and then so what are the elements you're listening for? Because a lot of times people who record, they'll mix their own stuff and says, no, you should have someone who's a little bit more removed do the mixing.
Exactly.
So what are some of the things that go into that?
In terms of mixing, and that's a bulk of what I do. So, and these artists have been developing and working on these songs for weeks or even months, and then they hand it off to me, going, you do the final balance of everything, the final sound of everything. And they trust me with that.
And this is sometimes stuff you haven't heard anything up to that point?
Oftentimes, I've never heard it before. And I just open up the files, whether they're just audio files or Pro Tools session or Logic session, whatever, and just start listening. First thing I do is I just listen, and I listen to it 15, 20 times before I even start.
And you get it, it's a rough mixer already, or are all the tracks not even necessarily there? How do you get it? What's your first listen like?
Yeah, that's a good thing to talk about, because they're all different. Some of them are really rough and like, oh gosh, this is gonna need a lot of work. I mean, it's rough, sounding and just thrown together. And other ones are just, you hit play, and when they hand it to me, it's already, I'm like, this is already like, what am I?
Yeah, what do I do?
I got to take this to the next level, because that's why I'm here. So that's when I get nervous. That's when the butterflies, because it's like, okay,
so
this
it's almost
is a
maybe
challenge.
a little easier when it's a little bit in
It's like,
shambles.
oh,
You're
I'm going to
okay,
shine
I'll
this
fix
up.
it.
But it's more of a challenge
Like,
when
oof.
someone hands you something that's like so amazingly produced and it sounds great already. It's
You
like,
call them up, don't worry, we can fix this.
yeah, that's the. I like those though. I like the challenging ones like that.
And what are some tips that you listen for, just for people who are maybe starting out in mixing or who have been doing it, but something that over the years you've learned that's really been a breakthrough, idea in mixing, or a way you do it?
In terms of mixing, just making sure the elements work together and aren't fighting each other.
Okay.
String parts, piano parts, drums and bass are working solid together.
Yes.
And the emotion of the song.
And how do you do that? Because sometimes you hear a mix when it's just everything's there, but it's like, I hear what you're saying. It's not. It's like doesn't have its own
distinguished.
space. Yeah.
The
so
definition.
how do you do that, like technically?
Oh God, how much time do you have? No, it's hours of equalize, using EQ and compression and reverb and tools of the trade that we use to make them not step on each other but work well together. Side chaining, for instance.
You can go in there and move things around. You make sure that bass drum and that bass are hitting just right in that one spot.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Because there's the overall thing that as it sits, and then there's the in-between stuff that we manipulate with. There's room here for that and that, but let it do its thing,
And then you just do one tweak. You're like, okay, that brought it out. That it's like a camera lens that came into focus. Or something.
Yeah. Oftentimes, depending on what you.
Yeah, the mix. Well, it's kind of like the artist that said, in that piece of rock, they see this.
Right.
They see
Yeah, I
what they
think
were
yes,
going to do.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
mix is
It's
kind of
already
like
there.
that. You can't chip, and all of a sudden, you go, oh, okay. Now
seeing it,
that's
I'm hearing it.
feeling right. That now I hear the space. You know, it's not crowded. All this is going on, but it's
And I like how
not
you said
crowded.
it's feeling right.
Yes.
Sometimes you hear it, but it's like, okay, that's the feeling I'm looking for.
Yeah, it just hits your chest. You know, oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting close.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the way I feel. When
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, and then the other thing for me as a mix engineer is how it translates. So, okay, it sounds great in my studio. You have
Right.
to do the card test.
I
the
was just
card
going to
test,
ask that. I was right.
And then,
right.
you know, the boombox, the
Absolutely.
Bluetooth
Right.
test. And then,
So you still do that even at
oh,
this
yeah,
level.
the little
yeah.
tiny clock radio speaker in mono, always checking mono.
Or even just like on your phone, right? Because some
phone
people,
is another one.
are listening to their
big
music
one is
on
the
their
phone, and the other big one is the
headphones,
Earbuds.
earbuds.
Yeah.
Right, and so I'm sure certain times you have to make some compromise, like, well, if I change this so it sounds good on the AirPods, but you have to get it so it somehow is close to the best
Yeah.
of
In all-
worlds. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes.
And you can find it. It's kind of interesting, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, all studios have at least 2 or 3, and that's why we have the big speakers and the smaller speakers, because they're all going to project differently.
Yes.
And when you can get it the mix to sound the same in both those different speakers somehow,
Yes.
now you know you're getting close to something
Exactly.
that's going to play reasonably the same to everyone.
Yes. And so I imagine after like hours and hours and hours and days and hours of listening, sometimes it's important to probably step away for a little bit.
Absolutely.
So maybe in those last couple of minutes, when you're not in the studio, when you're not in front of the board, when you're not working on a project, what do you kind of do to, I don't know, give your ears and soul some space from these things? Like whether it's like hobbies or what do each of you do?
I go play mandolin with Odd Dog.
Yeah.
Never stops. Yeah, that right.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's go play.
Okay.
I would say. I mean, I love recording, but go live performance is very
Yes,
special.
yes,
And it's
yes.
everything is so different every time. You play as much as you think you're playing the same. You play. It's always different. And
Yeah.
some nights you just love the way you did it, and some nights you think, I hope I do it better next time. But I love.
That
I love getting out.
replenishes your spirit.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's the real crux to
Yes.
to
Yeah.
For me, it's cycling. I go off.
Oh, yeah?
I cycle off road, like mountain bike out in the
Okay.
desert. I love cycling
yeah.
and that and painting. I paint. too.
Oh, right on. Okay, so you have some things to give yourself.
I should have pointed it out. One of his paintings was up in the studio.
Oh, is that right?
There's a picture of it in there, yeah. As you were painting the walls.
Well, maybe we'll have
yeah.
a whole other episode on your outside the studio.
That's my
life.
therapy. My
Yeah. And when you're out there riding, do you with
No, I
just
listen
go-
to the nature around me
Beautiful,
and the
beautiful.
tires in the dirt. And,
Beautiful.
you know, yeah.
You're a well-rounded fella doing all these things.
Right.
Right on.
I'm
Well,
trying.
Randy and Bonzai, it's sure been a pleasure just getting a glimpse. I'm sure we could probably be sitting here for another 5 hours and days and days, and hopefully we'll have more conversations. But thank you for giving me a glimpse into your creative process and the magic you're creating, and I can't wait to see and hear what's going to be coming out of the studio. And just blessed to know you fellas, and thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
For all you do.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks,
All right.
Seth. That was great. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, this is the show today, and I feel inspired. And bless you, fellas, and more to come.
Every dog will have his day. Every kingdom in decay turns to dust and blows away. Time reconciles. When there's no more kings, we'll proudly stand. We won't kneel for any man. Never have to kiss no royal ring when there's no more